Hello there and welcome to the Card Grotto. If it's your first time here, welcome and thank you so much for stopping by. Today I have a card to share with you using the new Altenew Storybook Fantasy collection with detailed ink blending. This video is part of a fun video hop celebrating the new release. I will have all of the information about the hop and how you can enter to win an Altenew gift certificate in the description bar, including a link to the next person in the hop. So let's get started with the card. I'm using the new Altenew Fairy Tale Florals stamp set. This is such a beautiful set. It contains a large outline image and then you also get some images that you can add inside the flowers to kind of build up some detail. For this card I'm just using the outline today, but I did create a few more cards using this set. I just absolutely love it, using those detailed inside images as well, and they are over on my blog, and I'll have a link to my blog in the description bar here on YouTube. And so for this one here, I am stamping it down onto some smooth white cardstock. This panel is 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. I've prepped that with an anti-static powder tool, and then I just like to wipe away the excess powder with a sweeper brush. And then I'm inking up this image really well with Versamark ink. This is a clear sticky ink that's going to allow my embossing powder to adhere to it. So just pressing that down really well in the MISTI here. It does look like I'm really pushing hard. I'm not quite, but I do want to make sure that I get a really nice impression, and it is a very detailed image. Next I can apply some Altenew Pure White Crisp embossing powder. So I'm just adding that on the panel here, covering that image. I can tap off the excess, and then I do like to add on another couple of layers and then tap off the excess again. I find that if I just add the one layer and then tap off the excess, I don't get a great coverage with the embossing powder. That's with any type of embossing powder. So I like to do it a few times, and then I'm going to heat set that image until it's completely melted. And I just find it so magical seeing the embossing powder melt. It's just so pretty to watch. Obviously once it's melted you're not going to be able to see it because it is white on white, but in real life I can just about see it. Then I'm going to take a Swiffer cloth and just remove any excess powder from the panel before I do my ink blending. So I'm starting off by adding a light layer of the Caribbean Sky, or Caribbean Sky depending on how you pronounce it where you are in the world, from the Glacier Caves ink set from Altenew. I just have the mini cubes, but they do come in larger versions as well. And I'm just going to add a light layer over the entire image here. I wanted the colour to kind of go outside of the lines of the image and then add more kind of detailed ink blending over the top. So I'm focusing most of the colour in the upper right hand corner. In real life it is a little bit darker than you can see here on camera, but it is still quite light. I did make this card in advance and I did add a slightly darker layer in my original card, and I think I did prefer that. I think it gave a slightly darker look, and I'll show you that at the end. Next I'm going to go in with the Altenew detail blending brushes, and these are new from Altenew. They come as a pack of 3 inside that tube there, so you get 3 different sizes. They do come with like a plastic kind of packaging on each of the brushes, so you can just remove those. And I haven't actually used the larger one yet, but I have used the 2 smaller ones, and I'm going to show you here how I used them. These have the same bristles on these as they do on the blending brushes from Altenew, and they do blend really nicely. As you can see, they've kind of got like an angled kind of tip to them, and you can hold them like you would hold a pencil or a makeup brush if you were to add some makeup to your eyes or something like that. So I'm just going in with my mid-tone shade here, which is the Persian blue, again from the Glacier Caves collection. And I'm just dabbing off the excess ink from that brush, and then I'm going in here and adding that inside of the petals. I'm trying to pretty much keep most of the ink inside of the petals, but if a little bit goes over the outside I'm not too concerned. This is a bit bit more, I wouldn't say a messy look, kind of like a messy watercolour, but it isn't completely precise, even though these are kind of detailed blending brushes. How I'm particularly using them, it kind of gives more of like a soft type kind of messy look, I suppose. So I'm going in here with the first layer and I'm just going all over those petals. And then I'm going to go in with the darker shade, which is the Sapphire. And as you can see on the top right hand corner, I did get a little bit of kind of like a smudge. I probably went a little bit too heavy handed with the brushes. It is fairly quite easy to do that because they do give a very light coverage, and you kind of have to, as you do pretty much with all blending brushes, you do have to kind of build up the colour, which does sometimes take quite a while, and I was probably a little bit impatient, but I am adding colour over the top, so I wasn't too concerned. So that was that Sapphire colour, and then I'm going to go in here with the Lavender Fields colour. I just wanted to add a little bit of purple to the petals. I'm just using a microfiber cloth here and then just kind of rubbing the top of the brush onto that, and it does get rid of the colour quite nicely, even though the bristles are kind of, they're not dyed as such, but they do look blue. Once you do wash them, the colour does come out of them quite nicely, but I didn't really tend to get too much ink transfer, which is really nice once you kind of rub it off on a cloth. And then I'm going to go in here with the microfiber cloth again and just remove any excess ink from the top of that embossing powder, and it does come off really quite nicely. For the leaves, I'm going to use Aqualicious colour, and that's from the Sweet Dreams collection from Altenew. I felt like I wanted to kind of keep in with the kind of aqua-y, bluey purpley tones for this card instead of a green, and I thought it worked out quite nicely. I am pretty much holding the brush so that the bottom of the angle is kind of like the darkest, and then where the bristles kind of fan out is the lightest, but it does take a little while to get used to these brushes, I found, and like I said, with a lot of ink blending you do kind of have to build the layers up, so this did take me quite some time to do. I think it wouldn't have taken me so long if I had added a darker layer of that ink blending at the start. But it is quite enjoyable going in. It's kind of a bit like painting, I suppose, in this way. So going in with the 3 different shades, the 2 blues and then the purple as well. And then I can go back in with that cloth and just remove any excess ink on top of the embossing powder. And like I said, I think it's kind of like, I suppose in some ways it's a messy look. It is definitely a different type of look, but I do think it's very pretty. Next, I sprayed the panel first with the Iridescent ink spray from Altenew, and this is like a really pretty shimmery spray, and then I'm just adding some kind of more bigger droplets over the top as well, just for some added interest, and then I can set that panel aside to dry. Next, I'm prepping my card base. So this is a panel of white cardstock that is 8.5 inches by 4.25 inches, and then I've scored that at 5.5 inches for a top folding card base. This bone folder here from Altenew is absolutely amazing. It's got a really sharp tip to it, and I found it really helpful to be able to create card bases with it. My panel is dry now, so I'm just adding some tape runner onto the back of that and then adhering that onto the front of the card. I do like to create panels rather than stamping directly onto a card base, but that is definitely just personal preference. And then I'm going to use that bone folder just to make sure that that top piece is really nicely well adhered. And then I have stamped and embossed my sentiments. These are from the Altenew Sentiment Strips stamp set. I've just cut them down into small strips, added some foam tape onto the back, and then I can just adhere them down onto the card. Just using some tweezers there just to help me out with the placement. And then I'm going to finish off the card by adding a little bit extra sparkle and just adding some small dabs of glue and then some sequins. These sequins are from Little Things from Lucy's cards. I do apologise that I can't link them. They are actually discontinued. I'm so sorry. They're so pretty and I didn't realise they were discontinued when I was making this video, but they do have something fairly similar on their site. And so this is the original card that I made on the left hand side and the new one that I made on video today on the right hand side. I do think that I got a deeper colour on the first one that I created, and I think I do prefer that, but the second one is really pretty as well, and I'm definitely going to send them both out. And I really love that added shimmer that iridescent spray gives as well. Links to the products that I used will be in the description bar here on YouTube and also over on my blog. And do check out the information on the video hop down below as well. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the hop. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.